Welcome to HUD's Housing Choice Voucher Overviews. This video will discuss annual turnover rate, otherwise known as attrition rate, or end of participation rate, and its effects on the HCV program. Attrition rate is the annual turnover rate, or the percent of families that leave a PHA's voucher program each year. For example, if a PHA has annual average units leased of 480 with a total of 48 end of participants, or EOPs, for the year, the attrition rate is 10%, 48 of 480. Attrition rate varies from PHA to PHA. It can also vary during the year. In other words, it may have seasonality differences, meaning more families leave the program in the summer than the winter, say. As past is often prologue, PHAs can use historical attrition rates to predict what kind of turnover the program will see going forward. However, circumstances may well change that result in future attrition not looking like past attrition. There are a variety of factors that can affect attrition rate and why a participant may leave the program, which may include zero HAP, 6 months. This happens when a family's income increases to the extent that the PHA's portion, the HAP, is $0. After 6 months of $0 HAP, the family attrits from the program. Fraud. Participants who leave in good standing. Drug-related violent crime. Port absorbed by receiving PHA. Violation of family obligation, etc. PHAs, particularly those with high attrition, may want to evaluate their policies that may be leading to above-average rates of terminations. PHAs can then use that information to help educate participants around program rules in an effort to avoid behavior leading to terminations for violations of program rules. As discussed in a separate video, PHAs utilize the 2-year tool to help analyze future leasing and spending scenarios, of which attrition plays a big role. The rate at which voucher program participants leave the program can impact PHA spending forecast required by a PHA, as more turnover lowers spending more quickly, as there are fewer families on the program, while lower turnover results in spending decreasing at a lower rate. The default attrition rate used in the tool is a staggered 12-month snapshot of end of participations, then compared to unit months leased to generate an attrition rate. This figure is seen in cell M5 of the 2-year tool. The amount of time it takes a PHA to perform the work of entering EOPs into the PIH Information Center varies, in some cases taking a month or more. So this staggered snapshot likely gives PHAs enough time to input all EOPs. For example, data for the 12 months ending on the last day of a calendar year would be pulled at the end of the following March or later. However, as that data is older, it will not capture potential recent EOP trends. To account for this, the 2-year tool includes a second attrition rate figure in cell M6. Rephrased, the tool has 2 numbers. One is more complete, though not current. The other, potentially incomplete, but more current. The information for both cells comes from PHA-reported PIC information, if PHA specific. In many cases, these 2 numbers are close. In other cases, where there is significant delta, it may warrant additional investigation to determine the best number to use in the tool. The overarching goal is to use whatever rate is most likely to reflect attrition going forward. If the PHA has some other information that would cause the future EOP rate to differ from these historical numbers, then one should ignore the past, as it is not prologue, and input the best estimate for future attrition. As just described, the default attrition rate percentage is listed in cell M5. This cell can be manipulated to forecast attrition rate and see how those estimates alter projections in other parts of the tool to include a PHA's offset or shortfall projections. In this example, we start with 9.7% attrition rate. We can note leasing and spending outcomes to include current and following year projections for HAP reserves and reserves subject to offset. Scrolling down, we can see estimate attrition broken out by month as well as for the total year. Note, there is no seasonality component to the attrition rate. The tool applies it equally to each month. We can note the unit months leased, or UMLs, at 12,941 and projected yearly HAP at 6.3 million. If we change the attrition to a higher number, like 16%, HAP expenditures go down and reserves goes up, including reserves subject to offset. Scrolling back down, we see a higher number of people leaving per month and on a yearly basis, from about 105 to 167 for the year. UMLs are reduced by about 600. HAP expenditure projections is also reduced. Finally, if we change to the attrition rate to 4%, HAP expenditure goes up and total reserves goes down. Scrolling down, we see fewer people leaving each month, closer to 4 a month and 45 people for the year. UMLs increase to 13,467 and the HAP expenditure projections increase to just under $6.6 million. From adjusting the attrition, we can see that lowering the attrition rate leads to more families in the program and a higher HAP expenditure, which translates to lower reserves. An understanding of a PHA's attrition rate is a key factor in decisions around future leasing and spending. If estimated attrition rates in the two-year tool are too high, a PHA may find themselves in an overspending, over-leasing situation, or shortfall. If estimated attrition rates in the two-year tool are too low, a PHA may find themselves in an underspending, under-leasing situation. In other words, the PHA could have helped more families. Termination factors may provide insights for PHAs to evaluate and adjust policies that may be causing higher than expected terminations. As with other parts of the tool, monthly monitoring and updating is vital to successful program implementation. Let the eye of the two-year tool vigilance never be closed. This concludes the presentation on HUD's Attrition Rate Overview. Please check out the full series of webinars to learn more about the basics of Housing Choice Voucher Program. You can find those webinars at the following web address.